Welcome students. In this topic, we will learn about lap joint on 10 mm thick MS plates in horizontal position using SMAW process.
At the end of this topic, you will be able to select appropriate electrodes for tack welding and welding process. Prepare and set plates in lap joint in horizontal position. Tack weld. Weld lap joint in horizontal position using SMAW. Inspect the weldments for defects. Now, let us look at the tools required for lap joint on a 10 mm thick MS plate in horizontal position using SMAW process. Steel rule, scriber, prick punch, ball peen hammer, flat file, bench vise, tri-square, tongs, chipping hammer, steel wire brush, electrode cable and earth cable, electrode holder, electrode, personal protective equipment, SMAW welding plant machine, C-clamp. Now, let us see the pre-welding preparations for lap joint on 10 mm thick MS plates in horizontal position using SMAW process. Cut two 10 mm thick MS plates 150 mm length by 50 mm width. File the edges and inspect the plates. File the plates to square edges. Check the squareness using tri-square. Set the plates one above the other, forming a lap in horizontal position. Keep the bottom plate parallel to the ground and the other plate on the top. To avoid damage to the metal due to contraction, set the plates in such a way that the angle of the tack welded joint is in a slightly tilted position, that is 87 degrees instead of 90 degrees on the back side. Tack weld the plates in horizontal position. Keep the electrodes ready for each run. For root run, use 3.15 mm electrode and 120 amps current. For second and third run, use 4 mm electrode and 160 amps current. We have seen the pre-welding preparations. Now, let us see how to perform welding process of a lap joint on a 10 mm thick MS plate in horizontal position using SMAW process. Deposit root run with 3.15 mm dia electrode with 110 amps welding current. Maintain the electrode angle at 70 degrees to 80 degrees to the line of weld and 40 degrees to 50 degrees between the vertical plate and electrode. Deposit the root run in a straight manner, avoiding weaving movements. Deslag and clean the root bead thoroughly. Deposit second run with a 4 mm electrode and 160 amps welding current. The angle of electrode to the bottom plate has to be 55 degrees to 65 degrees and 25 degrees to 35 degrees to the vertical plate and 70 degrees to 80 degrees to the line of weld. Deposit the second and third run using stringer bead technique. The second run has to be deposited partly covering the root run and partly on the bottom plate. Give a steady movement to the electrode using a short arc. Short arc is the distance between an electrode and the base metal. Distance should be lesser than the diameter of electrode. Deslag and clean. Deposit the third and final run with a 4 mm dia electrode with 160 amps welding current. Angle of the electrode to the line of weld should be 70 degrees to 80 degrees and 40 degrees to 50 degrees on both the plates. The third run has to be deposited in such a way that the deposit partly covers the root run, partly the second run, and partly the vertical plate. There should not be a gap at the bottom toe line of the third run. In order to maintain necessary throat thickness, make sure to fill the crater and to clean the bead. We will look at the important points to follow for a lap joint. Avoid over deposition and side undercut by using a proper angle and travel speed of the electrode. Hold the electrode at the center of the joint and go along the leftward direction and use proper technique to avoid excessive metal deposition at the bottom of the plate. Always wear protective clothing. Use tongs to hold the hot job. Prevent the upper edge of the plate from melting off. Let us look at the defects which can be identified during the inspection process. Solid inclusion, over deposition, undercut, lack of penetration, recap.
In this topic, you have learned to select the appropriate electrode, set the plates in a lap joint, horizontal position and tack weld, perform lap welding, inspect the weldments for surface defects.